einfach so ein, so ein Rätsel, wie es manchmal auch so in der Mickey Mouse war oder so, einfach so ein, ja, finde den Unterschied Rätsel. Aber ich finde keinen Unterschied. Ich spotte gerade gar nichts. Keine Ahnung. Oh, ja, doch, die schwarze Box hier. Die hier wurde nach rechts bewegt. Guck mal, hier ist sie links und da ist sie rechts. Also wurde da was bewegt.
Take that!
Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there's one minor discrepancy between them. What? When you view the two pictures stereoscopically. Das habe ich nicht gemacht, weil ich dann nur unscharf sehe. A single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me wait. Unbelievable. By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilder's small box was indeed not stolen from Windybank on this night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by McGilder is in fact, yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints?
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed. Kann ich einfach den Inhalt von der Box genommen haben und die Box wieder hingestellt haben? That may be true, but alright, Gilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case. How can it possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting in the shelves at Windybank as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial. The court does not oppose your objection, Lord Francis. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once, obtain the small box in question, and bring it back here for further examination. We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing. I beg your pardon, Lord Francis. This is nothing but a smokescreen, a Nipponese speciality, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness' intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGill from the pawnbrokery. Yet, common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly! It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGill perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of this trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was an upstanding member of society with reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. You know, that does make a rather lot of sense. It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Though goodness knows, Mr. McGill, you can't deposit cash at the pawn burglary, I'm quite certain of it. You can't deposit cash, okay. The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? Well, what's the matter, Uno? We know that they are related, don't we? They are both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGillicud's true character, and we know that this is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that Mr. McGillicud's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Ginny, could it be that Van Zieks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? But maybe this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry? What do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Uno? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time. Alright, the significance of the things that McGill deposited with Mr. Windybank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? Ich würde sagen, have Gina testify, oder nicht? Weil die Wahrheit wird ja ans Licht kommen. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. Oh, what proposal, counsel? While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGillicud's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand. The defendant? To what end? It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windybank by Mr. McGillicud, my lord. Mr. Straight has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what he has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused standing, and indeed your own. I have. Lord Van Zieks, would you care to explain that last remark? The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself. Very well, if you have no objection. Okay. Unser ganzer Ruf und Ginas Ruf geht jetzt kaputt, aber egal, Hauptsache Alessio geht's gut. So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Your witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice. Then I shall bid you a good day. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. As you wish. Alright then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here. Good luck, Bruno. Oh shit. The article said Mr. McGill had deposited in Willie Bank's pawnbrokery. Are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in his courtroom 2 months ago. Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well. That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilden. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now, here we are all again. The same players in the trial facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilden. Naturally, he was a prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Mr. Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Mr. Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilden died in this very courtroom, in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. As indeed does the omnibus murder itself. Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor the small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings. Mr. Lestrade, would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago? I mean... I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important. But... remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. The Home Office? Van Zieks macht Home Office oder was? And naturally you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose. Ginny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Bruno now. Iris, we are on your side. Alright then, I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it. I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGill's pawned articles and the extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Mr. Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements. This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zieks said, This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. Okay. Weil mein Ruf kaputt geht. Witness testimony. The real truth of the omnibus case. Truth is that Brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over my head, and the pair on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when McGilded slipped the driver some tin to do it one to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I had seen or heard. Good grief, this is outrageous. What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago. As you say, my lord. Then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in McGilded's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived his court, in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes. Oops. Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this court 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in the trial of this witness and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce. It was all lies. The McGill fellow was rotten to the court, just like the pickpocket. Don't forget that lawyer from the east. They were all on it together. You wronged a lot of ya. Mr. Nakaoto, the lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it. Humbug! I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that? He really stitched everyone up, didn't he? What an operation to get the man off scot-free. Unforgivable. Stop. The lies have to stop. Stop. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of McGilded's pawned articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. Given the depth of calamity you have just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing. Words fail me. The situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. Blimey, Mr. Naruhodo. Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Cross-examination. The real truth of the omnibus case. Truth is that Brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time.
Hold it!
And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Mr. Strait? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all. Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Mr. McGill was a sole passenger, did you not? False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Where Mr. McGill and the victim acquaintances. I don't know. Wer ist da noch als dritte? Achso. Gregson ist da auch noch. Aber was? Was machen die da? Was machen die da? Keiner saß, aber gut. I don't know. But I did hear them talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying. Perhaps business dealings of some kind. Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe. And then, all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all. And I believe you let out an involuntary scream. Yeah, that's what gave me away. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the cove, lying on the floor. Could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps? I don't know, but Miss McGill picked it up pretty smart. And then he set the cove with the knife in his belly up on the seat. What did he say to you at that time? He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard or no one. About the disc and all. I was that scared. The way he was looking at me though, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife too. Then he started asking me a lot of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too. But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First there was a kind of weapon nose. Weapon? Weapon. All of a sudden I heard a scream from over me head, and that pair on the roof deck went off to call the slopes.
Hold it!
There were two gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe. That's right. They must have looked down through the skylight and noticed a cove with a knife in its gut. Yeah, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. When they screamed, the driver pulled up the horses and McGill got me out of sight. Out of sight? Where? Back under the seat, where I started off. Aber ich dachte, unter dem Seat sind immer die Sachen für die Kutsche. Reparaturzeugs und so. Once the carriage came to an halt, the two coves from the roof went off to fetch the slopes. But they immediately left to fetch the police. It would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident. So that left McGill, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from the outside. The driver, yes. He also testified in the trial, I believe. A fellow who went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves. What did McGill and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened, and stuff like that mainly. That's when McGill slipped the driver some tin to do it one to the pawn shop roundabout.
Hold it!
That pawn shop obviously being Windy Banks on Baker Street. Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well? Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbrokery slipped his mind when he was in the stand. Indeed, Lord Von Siebes. McGill took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up, all careful like, before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it has gotta be worth a few bob. Yes, Gina was sure that this must be worth more than Mr. Winniebank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when McGill flashed some breath in his face. He went running off at a lick. Then the boxwalker called to me and told me to come out from the dragged cabin. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard. Oh, except you've like no questions. Well done, Gina. It can't have been easy to tell the truth like that. Ginny's really put her faith in you, you know. Yes, and to thank her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once the trial's over. So I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible. Sie hat ein bisschen überwältigt, deswegen machen wir mal den vorn zu. So ist besser, so bin ich gesagt, oder? Na, ich bin immer noch hell auf einer Seite, aber okay. It's time to really go for it. Pressure on every statement. I suppose I should. Oh, and another thing. What's that? Take a look at those two. Isn't it strange that they've been whispering to each other the entire time? Yes, it is strange. It looks like they are having a secret discussion about something. I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it. Okay, das letzte Statement fassen wir nochmal. Threatening me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard.
Hold it!
Threatened you? How exactly? Told me I'd only be able to scarper if I did exactly what he said. Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago. Yeah, that's it. And there was one other thing he said. Which was... He told me I'd have a hang onto the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it. The ticket? Well, I never... Said that if he didn't show up to get the ticket off to me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in luck, to stop it being forfeited. He left me with some West to pay it for it. But really, why on earth would Mr. McGrillet have done such a thing? Depositing this overcoat with a pawnbroker before the arrival of the police. It makes no sense at all. There would seem to be the only one logical explanation, my lord. What McGildet had the driver deposited at Willie Banks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs. Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I left it before the coppers showed up. Weil sie sollte was abgeben und er nicht. Ach so, ja, sie hatte nur das Ticket, ja stimmt. Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I legged it before the coppers showed up. Well done, Gina. It can't have been easy to tell the truth like that. Okay. Jetzt haben wir doch alle Statements. Okay. Not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything we can do about it. Können wir vielleicht einfach excuse me sagen?
Hold it!
You were hiding in the cabin, blah blah blah. On the right in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right.
Excuse me!
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector! Mr. Graydon! What? Blimey, you're trying to give me a heart attack! You have been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about? Discussion? With this fella? Pull the other one, Sunshine. You think I've got anything to talk about with a shady gent like this? And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of the disc that was rightfully mine. But they've clearly been talking the entire time and been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating. Thank you, Mr. Straight. Thank you, Counselor. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus. It would appear on that night, 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over price, McGildet took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way, although I don't understand why as yet. And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGildet's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cove died right after his trial. I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the article as your own. Well, why not, eh? They were only gonna be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime. Mr. Straight, it would appear Mr. McGillet was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be? Eh? I ain't got a clue. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. he was probably gonna sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime. My lord. The evidence your lordship requested has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir. Oha. Spannung! The mysterious little box deposited by McGilder 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's the key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. To be continued. Und ich glaube, es ist das letzte Mal, dass wir es sehen. To be continued. Ich hoffe es, dass das nächste dann der Endpart ist. Weil jetzt haben wir 1,5 Stunden. Ich bin noch gut im Zeitplan. Ich bin noch sehr, sehr gut im Zeitplan. The Adventure of the Unspeakable Stone. What's the save already? Yeah. Save complete.